This is part 9 of the video series handling a car accident case without a lawyer, without going to court. And in this section, we're going to be talking about what happens when negotiation fails. So hopefully, when you're negotiating, it settles. But if it doesn't, there's a couple things I'm going to be talking about in this video, talking about what happens when negotiation stalls and then the next steps. Again, I'm not giving legal advice in these videos. This is a general legal guide. Watching these videos doesn't make you a client of mine. And I'm talking about laws in California. It changes from state to state and it changes over time. So it's 2020 right now. And I'm an attorney in Los Angeles. My name is Jonathan Howell, and I practice all over California. And I've handled many cases, auto cases, many negotiations with insurance companies. So this is what this guide is a summary of. What does it mean when you have a stalled negotiation? Sometimes when you're negotiating with the insurance company, they'll refuse to counter with you. So you'll make an offer. They'll make a lowball offer, and then you make your counter, and they'll just refuse to counter. And I've seen that before. There's different strategies to deal with that. Sometimes you can ask to speak to a manager. Sometimes you can try to write a letter. Sometimes the passage of time, just letting some time go by, can help with that. You have to factor in what is your bottom line and what is it your goal is. Sometimes you may be able to, although I generally recommend not bidding against yourself, sometimes if you're close enough or it makes sense, you can try just saying, look, I'm going to drop down again and see what they'll do. Not always the greatest negotiation technique, but there's no hard and fast rule in negotiations. And sometimes getting the case resolved is better than having it prolonged. What it means when they refuse to counter, it could be many different reasons. It could be that you're dealing with a bad adjuster, or the adjuster has reached their authority and they just can't get authority. And I've also seen where after the authority has been reached, once I file a complaint, a new adjuster comes on, they reevaluate the case and they get more money on it. So that could be it, where you just hit their max authority and they're just not going to go back. Sometimes you also hear this thing where they don't have any new information, and that's just an excuse for them to say, like, we evaluated the case at what it is. And we got to talk about what options you have. And you can try, like I said, making a new offer. I don't generally recommend that because you're bidding against yourself, but it can occasionally shake loose the negotiation. You can file a lawsuit, and you can move or hire a lawyer at that point. So depending on the size of the case, you have some different steps available to you. If it's a small case under 7,500 in LA for auto cases, 10,000 for other cases, you can go to small claims court. And I have seen where once you file the small claims paperwork or you show up and you get it done, they will come with more money. Sometimes they'll negotiate with you in the halls of small claims court. I've seen that also. You can hire a lawyer, go to unlimited civil court. So there's limited and unlimited civil court. Limited is the case is limited to $25,000. Unfortunately, you still need a lawyer. They limit the amount of discovery, and there's some options on how to make the trial cheaper, but you're limited to $25,000. Unlimited, there's no cap on damages, but there's also no cap on the discovery, or there's a preliminary cap, but they can go beyond that fairly easily depending on the circumstances, and a trial can get potentially expensive. You can do arbitration. An arbitration is a private trial where a judge, usually a former judge, a retired judge, or a lawyer, hears it as if they're a judge, like a private judge, and they hear evidence and things like that, and they decide the case that way. You can also go to a mediation. I've done mediations before filing a lawsuit. Some of these are more advanced, and really once you're getting to this point, besides small claims, you're better off hiring a lawyer if it makes sense, because you can get really tripped up on civil procedure, and it's a big mistake. So if your negotiation stalls out, those are the options available to you. You have to kind of decide, does it make sense to escalate this into litigation? Does it make sense to escalate it to a small claims court? Or does it make more sense to just maybe knock your offer down again and see if it'll shake loose the negotiations? If you have any more questions, please visit my website, howelljustice.com, book a consultation. There's also resources there available to you for further information.